kebajikan. Baik to be honest. Hello everyone. Good afternoon. How is your day going so far? I hope everyone is doing okay. So welcome to Seri. It's called Seri Berbagi Virtual with our speaker today, Gavin Murphy, and with the theme an introduction into IT industry, and we're gonna start the discussion about 2 minutes from now. And to start the discussion, I will invite Haikal as the moderator. And before we start our session today, I will read some rules for the event. And the first rule is for all participants to turn on their camera. And then second is for everyone to change their name into the formats of
Is it frozen for anybody else?
Yeah, Jessica is lagging.
so sorry for the after the discussion, we're gonna continue for the discussion. After the discussion, we're gonna have a asking and we're gonna have the participants to ask questions to the speaker. And then for the last part, we're gonna have the closing session. So, Haikal, you may continue from this.
Thank you, Jessica. Hello, everyone. I'm Haikal, the moderator for our today's sharing session. First of all, I would like to say thank you for our speaker, Mr. Gavin, who has prepared all the materials for today. And I would like to say thank you to all of RBS volunteers who have participated by being on this Zoom meeting. The topic of our today's sharing session is an introduction into a career in IT and how to get there. As an intern, I think it's really important and related topic to us so that we can make a good career path in the future. But before jump onto the materials, I would like to know how RBS volunteers thinks or feels about this agenda. Maybe you can click on the reaction button so that you can choose appropriate emoji that really express your feelings, please. Can you give me a reaction, or Nabil, how you feeling today? Thank you to everyone who have clicked on the reaction button so that I can conclude everyone are really interested and really can wait for the next main event. Before that, let me introduce our speakers today, Mr. Gavin Murphy. So Mr. Gavin has a degree in marketing and has worked more than 3 years in an IT company doing talent acquisition in Ireland. So based on that, we can conclude he is a very awesome and amazing person with many job experience that he will share to us. Maybe let's greet our speakers. Mr. Gavin, can you hear us? How are you feeling today?
Yes, I can hear you there, Heiko. Can everybody hear me here?
Are you ready for the presentation?
Yes, I am. Thank you for your very kind words as well. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Everybody at RBA is awesome too, so we're all going to work together here. But yeah, as mentioned, Heiko and Echiko was saying, it's going to be an introduction into a career in IT and how to get there. So I'm just going to share my screen now. But is the audio okay for everybody?
Yeah, it's okay.
Perfect. So, can everybody see that there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to start now anyway. So yeah, so obviously firstly the agenda for this session will to give you a brief introduction into a career in IT and how to get there. So firstly, obviously the topics that I'm going to be covering will be around what IT is and what jobs there are in IT. And firstly talk about the soft skills in IT and what you need to get there. Hard skills you require in IT as well, and then the benefits of working in IT and what you can do obviously at the end to start your career into IT. So obviously this session will be an open discussion. So if you do have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to jump in and ask me any questions that I can do to help you answer as much as I can. So yeah, so just obviously I'll go get a brief introduction myself. So just in terms of me, obviously if you don't know me, Gavin, from Dublin, Ireland. So I've been working as an IT infrastructure recruitment consultant for the past 3.5 years. So essentially what my job would be to work with a lot of big companies based in around Europe. And so we would help them to take on new IT staff, to help them kind of see which staff are on the market and help them to place new staff into their company as well. So I have worked and helped over 50 people in the IT industry get jobs. So these jobs would be ranging from entry-level roles, so roles that they first came out of college and obviously their first role, to all the way up to senior management roles. So this would be IT managers, maybe even IT directors as well. So placed from a variety of obviously help people from entry to senior positions. And then I've also worked with various leading industry companies, such as obviously Facebook. I'm sure you all know, the largest social media platform in the world. I've placed many people into Facebook. And then I've also worked with Link Group, who would be one of the largest financial services companies in the world. So they do a lot of finance, a lot of mortgages. And then I've also worked with UPMC, would also be a very large healthcare company, and they have over 100 hospitals worldwide. So I've worked with a lot of big companies, and I've kind of learned a lot on my way to help them attract top talent. Yeah, so firstly, obviously I have a question for you guys. And I just want to know, obviously, can anybody tell me what IT is and what the examples of the jobs in IT? Does anybody know what IT is?
Maybe I can share my thoughts. Even
Yeah.
can I? So I think IT stands for information technology, and the thing that I see is everything that related to programming, such as Python, HTML, Java, and another thing. That's all that I can say.
Yeah, most definitely, that would be very correct there. And what would be some jobs that you think would be involved in working in IT? What kind of areas?
Maybe in a company that do technology such as internet providers and another thing, and they do programming such as Python, HTML, as I mentioned.
Yeah.
As a
Yeah. Okay, most definitely. Yeah, that would be correct also. So what I can do, I can talk to you about obviously what IT is, and then the different careers within IT and what you can kind of branch off to if you decide to have a career in IT. So obviously, firstly, IT is the use of computer systems or devices to access information. So IT stands for, as Aqil mentioned, information technology, and it is responsible for a large portion of our workforce and how a business operates. So an IT department is basically the core of any business. If a company doesn't have an IT department, they would not be able to function, as most online businesses are all operated by IT. So start off firstly, like there's a couple of different sectors that you can go into within IT that a lot of people don't know. So there's so many, IT is so varied, it's such a varied career, and there's so many different staples that you can go into. So we can start off with support. So support would be an area where a lot of people that are starting out their career in IT would start working in. So it would be basically mainly from supporting computers, and you would be supporting any kind of technical difficulties that people have within their computer device or online. So an example of it, an IT support support career would be like working in IT support engineer, a desktop technician, so these would be people come down and help you fix computers. And then obviously examples would be like, if you know, obviously Amazon, and if you have any problems with any of your devices or any technology issues, this first line of support would be chat support. So these are people that kind of help support. It's kind of similar to customer service. They would first line people, and they'd help support as well. So the next area I'd like to cover would be security. So security, a very big department within IT. So working in security means protecting computer systems, devices, and sensitive information from malware, unauthorized access, damage, and breaches. So an example would be of kind of working in security, protecting personal data from hackers. So it's, for example, like Instagram would have a very big security team because they don't want any of your personal data getting leaked. For example, if you've seen during the week with Facebook, they got fined 1.2 billion in Europe for breach of data. So this is why they need big security teams, else it would cost a lot of money as well. So an example of some job titles would be like an information security analyst or a cyber security analyst as well. So the next area I would move on to would be software development. Software development is also a really big area within IT. So this would include software developers or software engineers. So these are the guys or girls that create computer programs that would be used to accomplish any number of tasks. So these would be examples of like your internet browser they create your music streaming services like Spotify, and they also create online video conference apps like Zoom, what we're using now. So these would be all examples of different software that software engineers would create. The next would be an area in cloud computing. So firstly, can anybody tell me, or do they know what cloud is?
I think it's like a Google Drive, maybe.
Yeah, Google Drive. Does anybody else have any other thoughts or opinions? I'm gonna have to start picking on people here if they don't answer me.
Just point at them. Don't worry.
Yeah. Iman, I'm looking at you.
Yeah, I think it's a place that you can save your project or any documents on it.
Yeah, that would be correct.
But it's online.
Yes, exactly. And that's the main point. So it's not physical storage, it's stored in the cloud. That's the main difference. Obviously, physical storage would be your servers, but obviously cloud is all online as well. So basically what cloud is, it's basically the internet. So more specifically, it's all of the things you can access remotely over the internet. So when something is in the cloud, it means it's stored on internet servers rather than being on physical servers or physical hard drives. So examples of some cloud platforms would be the likes of Azure, so which is Office 365, AWS, which is owned by Amazon, and Google Cloud and Google Photos. So if you can use Google Photos as an example, once you store them, it's not put on a hard drive device, it's in the cloud basically. So yeah, thanks very much for them inputs. So the next kind of area would be moving on to networks and systems. So network IT professionals, they work with network related tasks or hardware and system professionals they work among servers and computer systems. So these work on physical hardware, whereas cloud works on hardware that is not physical, so it'd be software problems. So these guys or girls would be working on, say, if there was an outage in, say, working with YouTube. If YouTube's network goes down, that means nobody can watch YouTube. So this is quite an important role. They are basically the spine of any IT department. So the networks, they look after Wi-Fi as well. If there's any Wi-Fi issues or configuration issues, these people are the ones that look after this, and they're basically the spine of the IT. So the IT industry or the IT department would not work without networks and systems. So another one that's quite new as well, that's up and coming within a career of IT, is data science. So working with data can entail keeping up hardware and security as a data technician, or sifting through data to find maybe patterns or insights as a data analyst, or maybe a data scientist. So big supermarkets like say Walmart, they would use data scientists to see what buying trends their customers have. So they will be able to analyze the data that the data scientists give to them and be able to decide which trends are happening, what products to market best as well. So it's a big sector in IT. And then another and final one would be web development. So web development would be working in web development, responsible for creating and maintaining websites and phone applications end, which means basically looking after what the customer can see, what the consumer can see. So it's the front end platform, what you guys see when you log onto websites. That's what the front end engineers make. And then a back end engineer is someone that looks after behind everything that you can't see. So when you click on a page and it brings you to a different section, what happens behind that is what the back end engineers do. So they're the ones that be able to create the roadmaps for any website as well. So these would be like web developers create likes of Google, they create Facebook front end pages, Instagram, everything, even Canva, what we're using now as well. So it's a very important job there. So next of all, I want to move on to soft skills. And so I'm going to be including different types of skills that you need to kind of work in IT. So firstly, I will cover soft skills, but before I do, can anybody explain to me what a soft skill is, or what do they think a soft skill is, and what soft skills they think you would need for working in IT? So Echika, I'm gonna pick you there. Do you know what a soft skill is?
I think soft skills are non-technical skills that describe how you work, but it's kinda your hobby or something about what you love.
Yeah. Okay. So you're right with that. They are non-technical skills, so basically they're the skills that you learn over the years and you develop yourself. And so the skills about like how you solve a problem or how you manage work. And so there's not skills that you learn through developing programs more about over the years. But can anybody explain to me what soft skills you think you may need to have to work in IT?
Maybe a teamwork.
Sorry?
Teamwork, because another department in
Yeah, that would be correct. Teamwork would be a very important factor in IT. Obviously, if you're working on plenty of different projects, obviously one person can't just do the whole project themselves. So you have to work together to figure out different ways to maybe break down the teamwork within a project. So that would be correct, Michael. Does anybody else have any other examples of what you think you would need to work in IT?
Soft skills that you need in order to be able to thrive in an IT industry is communication, problem solving skills, creativity, and emotional intelligence.
Yeah, most definitely. Communication skills would be a big part of it as well. So obviously, if you're working with teams, you need to be able to communicate with, say, the supervisors or colleagues. to help them with, say, technical issues or non-technical issues as well. So the big part of what IT would be being able to technical problems to non-technical people. So that would be a big skill. So if you're quite technical, be able to break it down to someone that doesn't really understand the technical aspect, but you can make it as easy as possible for them to understand as well. So yeah, that would be very big problem at Kachika. And so yeah, I'm going to move on to obviously the soft skills that I've listed out that I think are the most important. Obviously there's lots of soft skills, but ones that I kind of think are the most important to kind of run through. Yeah, so firstly, obviously problem solving, obviously you mentioned as well, would be a very big one. So one of the main jobs of an IT professional is solving problems. So obviously on top of projects, you may receive, say, daily emails or phone calls to help others fix their own technical problems. So if you're somebody that, say, enjoys fixing software, or say even problem solving or puzzles, because most I through it and obviously figure out how to fix the problem. So maybe fixing software or operating system issues, or maybe equipment that doesn't start, trying to be able to figure out how to do that. And another one would be analytical thinkers as well. So a lot of people working in IT would be very much on the analytical side. And so it would require a fair amount of kind of analytical skills as well. So this would allow you to identify problems maybe before they arise and analyze data to extract key information. So this would be maybe going back through the data analyst role, where they would be very analytical, being able to kind of look at different data, see different data trends as well. And another one would be leadership. So leadership, obviously during your IT career, if you may need to learn to lead a team on a project, being able to know how to maybe affect the delegate, and if there's any issues on the team, be able to kind of resolve conflicts as well. So being a good leader would also help. And next one would be organization skills. So obviously you have to be very organized when you're working in IT. So you need an organized workspace and computer, and it'd make you feel more efficient and productive. So IT jobs can require a lot of multitasking. So keeping your area clean in order to kind of help you stay on track with your daily tasks. People who obviously also work in IT are also very innovative too. So a lot of people just think obviously mainly business roles are very innovative, but it also spans across IT as well. So they would also maybe tend to be very creative. So being able to come up with revolutionary ideas and solutions, and you may need to come up with new ideas to improve a process, or maybe find an innovative way to fix technological issues. So an employer may also ask you kind of help figure out how to use different technologies to kind of, a lot of people in IT are self-motivated, so they mainly have given an objective to do for the day, or maybe projects for a month or two, and they will be motivated to kind of get that task finished as well. So some of the projects will be very complex, so they require working through challenges and showing work ethic and being self-motivated will help you get through that. We've already kind of covered communication skills, and then we've also covered team player and teamwork that I put out there as well. So they would be some soft skills that I would think would be quite important to have and develop if you want to kind of work in IT. They would help you a lot along your career. So next, I'm going to, well, firstly, actually, does anybody have any questions on soft skills or any ideas?
If you have any question or want to share your thoughts, maybe you can just turn on your mic. I think
Okay,
no
I'll take that as a no. No worries, we've covered everything there, so that's good. I'll move on then. So next we, sorry about that. So next we're going to move on to hard skills. So I want to firstly know what people think that hard skills are, and what hard skills do you think you would need to work in IT? You can use the chat box as well if you don't want to speak on the mic, that's no problem. Okay, I'm gonna have to pick someone here. Maybe Echika, do you know what hard skills are?
I think hard skill is a set of skills that you can actually measure by certain indicators, or like for example, if you if we consider ourselves to have a skills in teaching, and then it can be proved by a certificate or like a certain experience that we have or a certain period of time.
Yeah, perfect. That would be very important as well. So, yeah, so I can move on with this anyway. Kind of my opinion anyway. What I would consider hard skills would be learnable skills that enable, say, individuals to perform job-specific tasks, or that you may be required to do a specific job. So, these are skills that you can learn over time, and they are hard skills. So, does anybody have any idea of what kind of hard skills you would need for working in IT? Or what would be quite important or beneficial? As mentioned, and we can use the chat box if anybody's too shy to talk to me.
Oh, maybe you can pick another person.
Sorry? No worries. Yeah. So I'm gonna pick Hesty. How are you, Hesty?
Yes.
How are you keeping good?
Yeah, good.
Good. So can you give me an example of maybe a hard skill that you think you would need to work in IT?
Maybe I will translate it for her. So, Gavin bertanya, kira-kira keterampilan teknikal apa yang dibutuhkan untuk bekerja di sebuah perusahaan?
Yeah, I think she's gone there. Sorry, I will take over anyway. I'll just go to the next slide and I'll explain some different hard skills. Obviously, it may be a bit of a tough question to ask, so if you don't have an idea, that's no problem. I can show you. So for the next slide here, so these will be different hard skills and traits of an IT professional. So as mentioned earlier on about communication, technical writing has a lot to do with it. So technical writing would be, as mentioned, with communications, the ability to contain and communicate intricate instructions and make them more simply understood. So being able to write from technical writing such as coding to explain kind of the complicated problems to non-technical people so they can understand that as well. So many IT jobs would require written communication and technical processes and systems as well. And the next would be social media management, which I know a lot of you do have, but this would be quite important within IT too. So it's kind of understanding how social media platforms work and can give you an additional valuable skill for employees as well. So if you understand how to kind of platforms, this could be quite beneficial to do and kind of help them their search engines as well. I thought were very useful. And next would be coding, which I would skills that an employer would require for an IT professional. So this would be the ability to write code and software and web development tasks. So being able to understand code is very necessary to complete operation as well. So something I mentioned earlier on as well. So this would be another common hard skill that professionals need. So it'd be kind of using your network knowledge, Wi-Fi, and kind of being able to know how to use IP setups, wireless routers, cloud services, and coding as well. So then hardware deployment. So this would be hardware like your laptop, your projectors. So this would be knowing how to kind of disconnect, maybe reassemble laptops, put them back together, computers. So this would also be a good hard skill to know if you are interested in IT. Operating system knowledge as well. So while an individual business may utilize only one operating system, if you're able to understand and know many different operating systems, that would be quite beneficial. And then last one would be, say, database management as well. So a database is a program that, say, stores and manages data. So if you understand some database management knowledge, or you kind of understand the details and actually requires, that would also be very beneficial. So I'll move on to the next slide now. So they're the soft skills and the hard skills that would be beneficial and that would help you start your career in IT. Perfect. So the next is benefits I'm going to move on to. So this is an open question for anybody again. So can anybody explain to me or what you think would be benefits to working in IT? So what would be the positives for working in IT and what would you kind of get out of it? Again, we can use the chat box as well if anybody wants to.
If anyone has a question, just raise your hand or just type it on chat, or maybe I will help to translate it if you don't want to speak in English.
So if you want to ask Aika, I'm just asking the benefits of working in IT. So what do they think would be the positives?
Jadi Mr. Gavin bertanya kira-kira apa manfaat bekerja dalam sektor IT. Nah, mungkin jika teman-teman yang ada yang menyampaikan pendapat bisa menyampaikannya dalam bahasa Indonesia dan saya
Iman, I'm going to ask you. You've been good for helping me out here. So, what benefits do you think you would get from working in IT?
I think it's very useful for me when I work on a company that basically using internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I study the IT, so I can also have the knowledge about it, and then very useful when I work on it.
Okay, that would be quite good to have as well. So that's very good. Yeah, so obviously I can explain. There's many different benefits to working in IT. It's a very lucrative industry, and there's a lot of positives as well that comes with working in the IT industry. So I could explain a couple of ones that I personally think are the most beneficial. So we can move on to this. So the benefits of working in IT. So one of the main benefits I personally think is flexibility. So as the IT industry continues to grow in many parts of the world, many IT jobs are actually fully remote, which is quite good. So you're able to work, you could work for an American company in Indonesia, or you could work for an Italian company from Indonesia as well. So a lot of companies are doing this now. And obviously myself working in the recruitment industry, and obviously if some countries don't have enough IT staff, a lot of companies are reaching out to other countries that they can get staff from as well. So it's very flexible, and you'll be able to work for many different countries across the world. Yeah, as I mentioned, you can work for American companies, Irish companies. It's quite beneficial and very flexible. And also it's really good if you want to maybe work from any part of the world. You can travel while working too, which is quite good at IT. And you can also, there's a lot of different benefits. So I think flexibility is quite big. And in terms of salaries, so in IT, the salaries tend to be a lot higher than any other industries. So I did a bit of research. Obviously, in Irish market, the IT staff would be very well paid. And obviously, I did some research in the Indonesian market, and it's also the correlation is very much there as well. So typically, someone working in IT earns around maybe 12 million per month in salary, and the range is obviously you're not going to like the ranges average from say 6 million to around 20 million per month as well. So the salaries are very good. And they also, most IT companies also have really good benefits packages. So they would offer a lot of holidays. They would pay for your IT equipment. So most of them give you maybe a free MacBook or a HP computer. They also give you phones, and they also have bonus packages too. And so it's quite good in terms of that, and that would be another benefit of working IT. And another one which I think is quite big is continuous learning. So obviously IT changes every day. There's new technologies that come out every day. Like I'm sure you've heard of ChatGPT. Everybody's talking about this now. Like there's a lot of continuous learning. So when you're working IT, you can learn every day. There's lots of new skills to learn, different methods to learn as well about different things. And there's a lot of emerging and new technology as well. And I'm sure obviously AI is a big one coming out now. So a lot of people are still learning about AI, which is quite beneficial to learn. So every day is quite different. Your job is going to be very different. You're going to learn a lot as well. Another thing is there's many job opportunities. Obviously, as mentioned to you before, IT is the backbone of most companies. So every company needs IT staff as well. So this is a job and a sector that it offers a lot of different jobs, a lot of different opportunities in as well. So there's many positions from entry-level roles all the way up to senior that are always available, and there's a lot of job opportunities. Career growth as well is another big one. And there's always room to grow your career within IT. You can work within the IT field, providing different opportunities for career growth. As soon as you kind of grow your skills, your IT knowledge, you can become a very attractive candidate and move up the ranks very easy as well. So within IT as well, I feel that your career is based on how much you want to learn and how much you want to grow. So if you are a motivated person and you want to move up the ranks as quick as possible, all you have to do is get certifications, study more, and you can move up as quick as possible as well. So another big one I think is quite a benefit is access to new technologies, which is quite cool. So working in IT allows you to work with new and emerging technology, as mentioned with AI, ChatGPT. These are all new technologies that you can work with too, and you could potentially be the first people within the team or in the world to work on new technology. So if you do like technology and that is something that you like, it's a benefit to work on this as well. After all, IT is the future, and as well, a good benefit is you can create your own technology. So a lot of IT professionals do this as well, and they help kind of solve a lot of problems throughout the day. So another one is teamwork as well, I think is quite big. So obviously working in IT field, you can work as a big and large part of team. So a lot of people think working in IT, you just work by yourself on the computer, you don't socialize to anybody. So this is quite a big thing, as mentioned with projects before. There's a lot of teamwork, there's a lot of communications, and so most IT projects require a numerous amount of people to work on them as well. So you can learn off different people, you can share ideas, and you can kind of help educate each other together as well. So you can work as different teams and kind of solve problems and that as well. So these would be some benefits that I would think would be for working in IT as well. So next I'll move on to what you can do to start your career in IT. So this is obviously if you are looking to kind of start from the bottom to get into IT, these would be kind of some useful, would be very important to get into IT. So firstly, obviously with research in relevant degrees, obviously a lot of jobs do require these like a degree in say information technology, information systems, computer science, software engineering, computer engineering, and cybersecurity. These would be some really high achieving courses that people would graduate from to get into IT. But also the good thing about IT is you don't always necessarily need a degree to get into IT as well. So obviously it's very helpful, very beneficial if you do have a degree, as you will be competing against a lot of high-end competitors. But you can also take some courses by yourself and start your IT career that way, which I think is also quite useful too. So I can run you through some courses after. So the next point would be getting certified. So basically, if you're not aware, certifications are basically like your badges to say that you can work on this technology. So if you have, say, certifications in Microsoft, that means you can work on Microsoft problems. If you have certifications in, say, Google Cloud, you can work on Google Cloud. So certifications would be one of the most important tools that you need to work in IT. So these certifications would usually be more than just a final exam. So they'd involve doing different modules, learning different skills. And you don't only do certifications, you kind of work on you work on a lot of webinars, you work on kind of hard work as well. So certification will be a big important practice to get into as well. So I've listed some of the most important ones. So Oracle, this is a company. There's CompTIA, there's ITIL, and then there's certified ethical hackers as well. This would be quite good. So you can get these certifications online. Most of them you pay for courses. But another thing I've mentioned, there's a lot of free online courses as well, which you can do, which is quite beneficial. So a couple of these companies I've actually worked with before and worked with candidates. So Allison, they offer free courses, Coursera, the Open University, and Udemy as well. So these are all free, and they're a good way to get introduced to the IT world as well. So I'd recommend introductory course to see if it's something for you. So next, I'm going to talk about what you can do to transition from your current role into a career in IT. So if you are, obviously you never studied IT or didn't do a degree in IT, and you are thinking about maybe transitioning after you graduate into a career in IT, there is a couple of different things that you can do to make this transition smooth as possible. So one thing I'd recommend, and it's the most important thing, I think, is work experience. So a lot of companies would look at your work experience rather than your degrees or your education, because at the end of the day, if you have experience working on different projects or different technologies, that's the most important thing to them. So a good way to kind of start up and get experience would be maybe to start some freelancing. And so you can make like an online portfolio, or you can start making personal websites and creating different portfolios. So there's a couple of companies you might have heard of before that do this. So there's a company called Fiverr. You can basically go online, you can advertise your profiles that you've made a website in the past and ask you to make the website for them. So this will be different ways to get experience as well. And so obviously some companies may, when they're looking to take on people, they would require experience. So it's always good to build up your own experience first before you actually start working with a company. And you can also do internships. I know most of you are doing internships at the moment, and you get to learn a lot as well. So obviously internships offer a good opportunity to kind of work for a company. Usually, you could work for a specific project. You can learn about different IT jobs that you can do within the company too. And you could also do some volunteering. And so maybe kind of working alongside a different team, you can kind of gain experience, work with maybe a small business or a not-for-profit and work within their IT service department. With this, at least you'll be able to kind of add your IT experience onto your CV. And this would be one of the most important things that, as mentioned before, companies are looking for when they're looking to take on new staff as well. So experience is very important. And so also another thing would be working on things on your own. So self-learning. So this is one of the best benefits of working in IT, where it's like you can perform work and you can self-learn as much as possible, and whatever you want to learn, you can learn yourself. So there's many things you can tinker with as you learn more about IT firsthand, and through more intimate experience you can get from different college courses as well. So you can start by kind of maybe getting used to equipment, working on your own laptop. You can watch some videos on YouTube, how to explore different IT opportunities and different problems as well. So this is quite good. You can always work on your own self as well. So other things that would be important kind of starting your career in IT or moving over would be maybe starting to attend some IT seminars or workshops. And these have a large focus on IT. So they would be done by maybe people in the IT industry that can teach you about the basics of IT, about how to start coding, how to kind of start writing some script. They can always teach you about that. And they're a lot more hands-on than workshops. So there's companies called Eventbrite, who I've actually used before, and Ithaca. So these, if you look up IT webinars on them, they're always running free webinars so people get involved. And as mentioned before, one of the kind of main important things I'd mention in IT is to learn how to code. And you can always teach yourself this as well, or you can do kind of an introductory course on the other websites I've mentioned, like Allison or the Open University. So learning to code and perfecting these skills over time is very important. And then some languages I would find that I've found in my time in industry that are always very beneficial to learn. So a language is a coding script, and this would be HTML, Java, CSS, C++, or Python as well. So these would be some tips I would consider to kind of get starting your career in IT. Yeah, so this is kind of coming towards my end of my my presentation here, but these are some things that I'd recommend if you did enjoy the presentation and you do think that IT maybe would be something that you'd be interested in, or it might be an option for future career progress. I would recommend to do these different things as well. So complete one free online introduction course to IT and the workshop. So you can just, as mentioned before, you can do free courses. Maybe some of them are like 2 or 3 hours long. If you do want to do an introductory course, Allison, the Open Universities, there's lots of free choices you can do. And just to do an introduction course, see what you think of the IT industry and go from there. Another thing I would do would be list out all your soft skills. Obviously, we discussed soft skills early on in the presentation. So list out your personal soft skills and what you think would be a match for the soft skills within IT. Compare them, see if you have similar soft skills. And if you do feel like you have similar soft skills to work in IT, maybe have a look at doing the courses then. And then another big one would be creating a LinkedIn profile and starting to network. And so I'm not sure if all of you know what LinkedIn is, but I know RBA have a LinkedIn, but LinkedIn is basically a social media platform for professionals. So what you can do is you can reach out to different people within companies and even reach out to them, and if they work in the IT department, ask them, can you chat about how they got into their career, or can you chat about what do they like about their career? Or if you have any questions, a lot of people are always very open to kind of chat and discuss things on LinkedIn. So networking across LinkedIn would be very important too. And that would be something quite useful you can do as well. So obviously I have a LinkedIn profile too. This is myself. So if you ever want to reach out to me on LinkedIn as well, I'd be always more than happy to help. Obviously, if you have any questions about the IT industry, I try to help as much as possible. I may not have all the answers all the time, but I can always maybe refer you on to someone that does. So yeah, this is coming towards the end of my presentation. Obviously, I'd like to thank you all for listening and participating as well. So I just want to kind of open the platform and see if anybody has any questions on that.
Thank you, Mr. Gavin, for the presentation. What a very insightful presentation. For example, I know a lot that many careers within an IT, such as support development, security, and another career. But before jump onto more deeper in discussing about the presentation, now let the documentator take a photo for us first. Maybe Mr. Gavin, can you stop your screen share first?
Yeah. Thank you very much for listening and participating as well. Perfect.
I hope all the participants can turn on their camera so that we can take a photo together, and that will be led.
Okay, thank you, moderator. Now let me take picture. I hope all the participants can do the best pose that you have. Okay, guys. 1, 2. One more. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the change. Now we're on Q&A session. So if anyone has a question, just raise your hand or just turn on your turn on your camera. But if you decide to talk in English, I will help you to translate it in Indonesian. Thank you.
Thank you, Aqil.
we have a participant that will ask to Firda. Just turn on your mic, please.
Okay, thank you, Haikal. I have a question for Mr. Gavin. There's an article released by the government that said most of the fresh graduates in Indonesia got a job that don't match to their major in college. What do you think about that? Is it the same in Ireland or not? Okay, thank you.
Sorry, could you just repeat that last question, Adina? I heard that what was the article released by the government?
Okay. There's an article released by the government that said most of fresh graduates in Indonesia got a job that don't match to their major in college. What do you think about that? Is it the same in Ireland or no?
Yeah, so just to kind of go over that, so you're basically asking if you have to get a job in your major, is that correct? Just to understand that. Yeah, so in Ireland anyway, and I know obviously I worked in a lot of countries, obviously based in Europe as well. Obviously having a major is important, but you don't always necessarily have to go into that major. Like myself, I have a major in marketing. I don't work in marketing. I easily transitioned over to recruitment. So what I find myself is you need to have obviously your baseline of where you want to go, but you can always, if you have the aspirations and if you have the ability, you can transition over no matter what. So obviously, depending on your soft skills, if they suit yourself more to a different role, you can transfer over. But sometimes if obviously I studied in marketing, so this is in business, so recruitment is still in business, but if you want to change career completely, you may have to say do a certification or an introduction course. So if I was myself trying to transition into IT, I would need to have maybe certifications done, or I would need to have introductory courses done to maybe get into IT. Obviously, you need to have that. But if you are transitioning within, say, if you did a business degree, there's a lot of different scope that you can move into as well.
Yeah, so basically Mr. Gavin just did the career switch from marketing to the IT. So yeah, Mr. Gavin is one of the example that the college doesn't match to the job, right?
Yeah, most definitely. I would agree with that. And obviously, just to add, like what you learn in colleges and university is very important, and the baseline is always there. But once you get out of university, I found myself, it's a completely different world as well. So there's only so much the university can prepare you for the world, but you can go wherever you want within any industry you want once you have aspirations to do that as well.
And Firda, do you have a response for that?
Enough. See. Thank you, Mr. Gavin.
Thank you for your question, Ferda.
Are there any participant who wanna ask any question? Just raise your hand and don't be shy. Iman, can you just turn on your mic, please?
Okay, thank you for the material, Gavin, Mr. Gavin. As a consultant, do you have any tips for me that I don't have any skills of coding and still want to work on IT?
Yeah. So as mentioned, if you don't have any skills of coding, and this is one of the beautiful things about working in IT, you can always teach yourself. But also there's lots of different platforms that you can use for teaching you. So these are free platforms. I have listed them out before, but if you look them up, I can chat to you after, Iman, about this too. But there's companies called Allison and Udemy, the Open University. They all offer free educational coding sessions that you can do to learn as well. But I think the main important thing as well, you need to have an interest in it too, because I feel like if you have an interest in it, it doesn't feel like work, it feels like fun. And that is to do with coding as well. It's quite a fun activity to do. And so if you are looking to get into it, as mentioned, you can YouTube to teach yourself at the start, and then also you can do free courses too. And they would always help you back up your skills.
Thank you for the answer. Do you have a response, Iman?
No, thank you, Gavin.
Thanks for your question, Iman.
Are there any participant who wanna ask a question? Just please raise your hand. Or
I think Echiga has a question there. Hi, Cal.
Jessica, can you please just turn on your mic, please?
Sorry. I think it's good to say that IT industry is one of the ever-changing industries that we have. And considering the high demand, or like I think in terms of a human resource, there's a high demand for people to work in an IT industry. And also, I think people who work in the IT industry also often encounter some very serious case of cases that have a rate of difficulties in such a high rate. So what do you do when you cannot solve an issue?
So when you cannot fix an issue, what would you do?
Yeah.
Okay, so as mentioned with you, one of the main things and skills in IT and benefits is teamwork and working within a big team. So if you are working on a problem that you cannot fix, you can always get the help of more senior people. You can always get the help of, say, heads of ITs. But also, if there is no problem, if there is no way to fix it, this is where innovation comes in and creativity as well. So being able to kind of work within team projects, being able to kind of innovatively maybe come up with different ideas and different ways to face the problem. You may not be able to fix every problem, but you can always try work on it to create different solutions. And maybe a lot of IT companies do is if they have a problem that they can't fix, they make a new product that can fix it. So this is where creativity and coming up with solutions would help.
Chika, do you have response for the answer?
I think that's enough. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Echika, for your question.
Now I will deliver the question for Anissa, Kak Anissa Diner. So nowadays there's a lot of high demand of human resource in IT industry, right? But she wanna ask what kind of IT industry that have high demand for human resource, but the human resource is kind of less. So I think it's asking for opportunity.
Okay, so where there's not as much human help and it's more IT based. So you will see a lot of this in kind of support roles of what I mentioned. So a lot of like first in line or initial support would actually be chatbots or technical support. And so the first line they would be like, say, frequently asked questions where the chatbots respond. So that's where it would be more IT based and AI resources than human resources.
So it's the support, right, to make a chat box that automatically answered by the artificial intelligence.
Yeah, exactly. And that would, yeah, most definitely. That would be where you'd see it in the first form of basics anyway, on the AI side.
Yeah, thank you for the answer. Maybe is there anything that you would ask, just raise your hand. Maybe for the last question. because there are no one who wanna ask anymore. Now, thank you for the presentation, Mr. Gavin. It's really insightful for me. Me personally, I got many information about an IT. So because at first, IT, I think it's just like a programming and another thing, but when you do the presentation, I got a lot more information than that. Now I give the control of the agenda to the MC, please. Thank you.
All right, hi, Carl. Great discussion. And we almost complete today's session. So before we close, because this, I would like to ask.
I'm sorry, maybe we can wait just for 1 minute so Ejika can fix her internet connection.
Sorry again, thank you so much, Heiko, for moderating this discussion. And we're almost complete today's session. And before we close this, I would like to ask one person for the testimonials moment. How is your impression regarding the materials that have been shared by Gavin Murphy? Right. I guess my voice isn't quite audible for Iman. I'm just gonna continue for the closing part. Thank you so much, Mr. Gavin Murphy, for joining in today's session, for making your time to be our speaker for today's session. And I hope you guys will find this session to be insightful and can be useful if anyone's having interest to work in an IT industry someday. Thank you so much, everyone. And before you leave the room, you may fill out the form for the attendance. Thank you so much, and see you in the next session.
Perfect. Thank you very much for allowing me on as well. And if anybody does have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me as well, and I can try to help as much as possible as well. So I appreciate that, and thanks everybody for your time. Thank you, Ejika, for hosting, and Heiko for monitoring. So appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Gavin.
Thank
Have a
you,
nice
Mr.
day.
Gavin.